Before this video starts, if you enjoyed this video, there are many more like it already on the channel, with many more like it to come in the future, so subscribe. I am trying to hit 125,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so I'd really appreciate it. I upload daily on this channel, so if you're looking for some consistent basketball talk, this is the place for it. Also, drop a like on this video. It only takes 1 second. It makes a massive difference. So, today, continuing Hot Takes Tuesday, I got some takes in relation to the 2020 NBA Finals. If you would like to have some of your takes in this series, then go follow me on Twitter. I will post asking for your takes for these videos, as I do every time, and I'll also post about getting rejected on Tinder over and over and over again. But with that out of the way, let's just jump right into it for our Hot Takes 2020 Finals Edition. Tyler Herro's ceiling isn't an all-star, more like a decent starter. I'm gonna have to disagree with that one right out of the gates. I do think he can be an all-star level player. His level of confidence matched with his feel for the game can only lead to good things, not even considering the fact that he was doing this at 19 and 20 years old. Like, you can't tell me a guy who put up 37 in a conference finals at 20 years old is not going to be an all-star caliber player. It's possible he's just one of these guys that, like, he is what he is as soon as he gets in the league, but I'm doubtful of that. Jimmy Butler is a top 10 player after his finals outburst. I'm going to have to agree with you on that. I originally had him just outside of the top 10, but as these playoffs have gone on, I've had to creep him up higher and higher on my board. And as a result, I'm actually doing a new top 50 list, and he's definitely going to be in that top 10, no question. This ring is LeBron's third best ring. I put it just above 2012 OKC, and also he is still not close to MJ. I don't even have him past Kareem, but Kareem LeBron is at least debatable. Actually, first of all, the ring thing, it's whatever. I don't feel strongly one way or the other. But for if it's debatable between Kareem and LeBron, no, it's not, because it's LeBron. Kareem is not above LeBron James all time. The GOAT discussion is between LeBron James and Michael Jordan, them two alone. Everyone else is on the outside looking in. I just don't understand how anyone can view it as any way outside of that. Those are the top two players in the conversation, and the top two players in NBA history, period. Jimmy Butler is a superstar and on the same level as James Harden. Now, this is the take from the thumbnail, kind of, because I originally had someone say that Jimmy Butler is better than James Harden, and then I made the thumbnail without screenshotting the tweet, and then they deleted the tweet. So that take, I guess they thought it was bad, but you know what? It's a good one for the thumbnail, but I actually don't think it's that bad. I think Jimmy Butler and James Harden is a pretty close conversation. Obviously, James Harden's the better offensive player, but Jimmy is the better everything else, and I think mentality is a huge thing here, because Jimmy Butler is very clearly someone who cares about winning and winning alone. James Harden seems to have his head in other areas quite frequently, to the point where I think these guys are close. Talent-wise, no question James Harden is more talented than Jimmy Butler, but in terms of actually being able to win a basketball game and all the pieces you need to be the best player on a championship team, I think it's pretty much neck and neck. The Nuggets could have beaten the Heat. Shout out to Legend of Winning's Burner. No, I don't think so. I think the fact that the Heat gave the Lakers a really real series while the Nuggets only gave them kind of a real series pretty much showcases that that's not the case. Also, I think if you're going to beat the Heat, you need to be great on both ends of the court. Unfortunately for the Nuggets, they're only good on one end, and that is offense. Defensively, Jeremy Grant would be a good matchup for Jimmy Butler, but he's not like a stopper. He's more suited as a team defender, really. So yeah, I don't think that would happen. I think it'd be close, but I would give that to the Heat. The Heat's path to the finals was a lot easier than the Lakers' path to the finals. I definitely disagree with that. Now, I will say, I don't think either of these paths were easy, but in the case of the Heat, they had to face the Bucks, and that's better than any team that the Lakers had to face. And conference finals, I'd argue the Celtics are in a similar tier to the Denver Nuggets. First round matchup, the Heat had the Pacers. That was a cakewalk. Lakers had Blazers. That was kind of a cakewalk too. So I don't think the first round matchup matters much. But no, I definitely give the edge to the Heat in terms of which path was more difficult, not even factoring in the fact that the Heat were like an underdog the entire way through. But yeah. Danny Green had an underrated, overhated final series due to the good perimeter defense he played throughout the series. This one I agree with. I feel like Lakers fans have this tendency to act like Danny Green is useless when he's not hitting his spot-up three-pointers or he's taking too many dribbles. And yeah, offensively, Danny Green is not amazing. He used to be one of the best shooters in the league. I don't know what happened to that, but regardless of that, So many people do not give Danny Green his due credit on the defensive end of the court, because Danny Green is a fantastic defensive player, and even when he is shooting 25% from 3, there's a reason you're still seeing him on the court. Part of that is a lack of depth on the Lakers' part, but another part is the fact that he's just really good on one end of the court all the time. Sometimes he's good on offense, but most of the times, and especially in this final series, he was not. But his defense makes him a good contributor regardless of if he is hitting his shots or not. The Miami Heat were made for the bubble. As soon as the normal season starts, they will not be as good. With the Nets back, the Bucks getting inevitably better, potentially the Sixers and Celtics improving. The bubble was fun, but the true evaluation comes next season. I have to strongly disagree with this one, because I don't understand how the bubble contributes to the Heat's success any more than it contributed to the success or failure of any other team in the league. Like, what about the Heat made them better but didn't help the other teams? Like, they're a better three-point shooting team than most teams, and three-point shooting is easier in the bubble, but that's about it. Like, they had a good matchup versus the Bucks. They didn't win that series because of the bubble. They won that series because they had a good matchup and the coaching difference. Eric Spoelstra outcoached the fuck out of Mike Budenholzer, and Mike Budenholzer basically shit his pants for that entire series. That was not a factor of the bubble. I don't think being outside of the bubble and it being normal circumstances changes that. Playoffs versus the Celtics. The Celtics rely on a lot of difficult shot making. It's less difficult in a bubble circumstance, so I really doubt that is a benefit for the Miami Heat. Like, none of the bubble situation was beneficial to the Heat more so than it was anybody else, to the point where I don't agree with this at all. If there's one team that I think strongly benefited from the bubble, if this is the case and it's kind of a fluke, it would be the Denver Nuggets, just because of how well Jamal Murray shot the ball. But outside of that, I don't think any team has strongly benefited from the bubble any more than anybody else. So no, I don't think the Heat I think everything the Heat did was completely legitimate, and this team should be remembered for a long time, even if they never do win a championship. Jimmy is a certified superstar now after being on the fence for most of the 2 years. He is officially in that conversation. Yeah, this is how I felt the whole way through the playoffs, because for the longest time, it used to be Damian Lillard and Jimmy Butler were the two best players that I didn't consider superstar level talents. And then after that, I put Damian Lillard in that conversation. And then after that, I'm putting Jimmy Butler into that conversation. So I think those two are superstars, and I think Jimmy Butler is a superstar. And for the longest time, I had them just outside. But the way both of those guys performed in the bubble was clearly these guys can be the guy. It was just a matter of circumstances and them actually showing up and doing it. My evaluation of a superstar is, can they be the best player on a championship team? The fact that Jimmy pushed the Lakers to 6 games in the first place is proof enough to me that yes, he can. If the Heat were fully healthy the full series, the Heat win in 6. I got some version of this tweet a lot because I got 100 replies, and 10 of them were about how the Heat would have won the series if they were healthy. I actually kind of disagree, but I also don't think it's just a total wash, because I do think the Lakers were kind of in trouble at one point in the series, but I also think they were kind of coasting a little bit. It's kind of like that first round matchup, 2008 Celtics versus Sixers. I really hope I'm getting that matchup right. I'm pretty sure I am. It ended up going 7 games, but then in game 7, the Celtics were like, all right, I guess we're going to actually play like we care. And that's kind of what game 6 was like for the Lakers, because I said the reason that the Heat were winning games in this series was because the Lakers kept playing to their will. They kept playing how the Heat wanted them to play, and it was a matter of the Lakers forcing their will upon the Heat rather than the other way around, and as soon as they would flip that switch, the series would be over. And that's exactly what happened in Game 6. That entire game, the Lakers were playing their game regardless of what the Heat wanted them to do, and that was the biggest factor in why they won that game and eventually won the series. So I feel like even without those injuries, the Lakers eventually just flip that switch and they get through it. That being said, I would argue that Dragic being injured and then coming back was a bigger deal than I think people made it out to be, because him actually being back was bad for Jimmy Butler in Game 6 because he seemed more passive trying to give Dragic opportunity. Jimmy was also exhausted clearly throughout that entire game, so I'll give him that break. But Dragic really didn't contribute much, and the fact that he was playing a little hobbled and the team had already gotten their chemistry figured out for the past 5 games or the past 4 games, there was really no reason to put him back. That was clearly just trying to fit a piece in that was no longer fitting at the moment. Obviously, I'm not saying they get rid of Dragic, but just in these short circumstances of games, kind of putting him back in there just threw off the whole thing for the roster, and that led to the downfall in Game 6, as well as I said, the Lakers forcing their will on the Heat. So I did not think the Heat win this series, even if healthy. I do think it goes 7 games under these circumstances, but no, I'm not gonna say that. I do think the Lakers win this series regardless. I had them as my pick in 6 games before the injuries, so I'm not wavering from that. But yeah, that is reacting to hot takes. Real quick, go check out my Uncharted 4 video on why it's the best game of the series. I've given you this spiel a million times, but you still haven't watched it, so watch it. If you have watched it, thank you. If you haven't, eat a dick or watch it. Those are the 2 options, unfortunately, so make your choice. Patreon. If you want to support this content outside of just your like and subscription, I have a Patreon where you can get some extra content and support me with your money. But outside of that, that is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.